Cartier, welcome to Diaspora Food Stories. How are you?
I'm excellent. It is a true pleasure to be here.
Awesome, awesome. You are joining us from Motor City, I believe, Detroit.
That's right, the Motor City, born and raised.
How's everything over there?
It's actually pretty good. We just had some rain last night, but we had a lot of pretty good days the past week. We had a lot of weather in the 70s, so no complaints from this native Detroiter.
Awesome, awesome. And I know lots of history there, but
Yeah.
definitely again, thanks for joining us. I'm so excited to talk about just your journey from, you know, becoming into becoming the black vegan black guy, excuse me. So let's get started. You just mentioned it, native of Detroit. Tell me about growing up. What was it like? What was in the kitchen? What was that food scene like for you?
Well, I'm sure you can imagine. It was a lot of soul food, a lot of down home cooking growing up in Detroit. We're actually really famous for our Coney Islands,
Okay.
and those are like small diners that sell really famous for like chili cheese fries, chili dogs,
Nice.
things like that. And I definitely fell victims to the chili cheese fries. That was my vice. But yeah, it's a lot of good food, especially like now it's on the up and up. So it's a big diversity of the different types of foods that we have here now, and it's on the up and ups, But it's not the Detroit that I always knew.
Okay.
But everything must change, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, now food is central to what you do, being vegan and
Hmm.
promoting that lifestyle and through your work.
Yes.
As you were growing up, what was it a typical, I hate to say that, but black family, but it was, we have our traditionals, right? We're Sunday dinners with greens, macaroni and cheese, fried chicken, meatloaf, all
Yes.
that good stuff. So share some of those food memories
Yeah.
growing up with us.
Yeah. So, again, all of the fried chicken, collard greens, all of that stuff. My grandmother, and I come from an older family, of course, a Southern family. My grandmother, she would make cornbread like every day.
Oh,
Um, that was just a thing, making it from scratch. I could just all kind of dishes, hot water cornbread,
mhm,
salmon croquettes, things like that.
mhm.
So we had all of the good stuff, and then holidays were excellent. A big set out, a lot of food, macaroni and cheese, yams, collard greens, and I remember my grandmother actually, and this may have been the start of not so good eating habits, but she would always make me my own sweet potato pie.
Oh, wow.
That was really cool, to me.
Mhm.
And they were the best. That was like my favorite. So again, growing up, every Thanksgiving, my grandma, she would say, "Now," and they called me Carter. She would say, "Now, Carter, now yours is over there."
And did grandma put something extra in there? I mean, besides
She
extra
knew
love?
how much I loved them, so I had my own, and the family had a few. But
Got you.
so I was a bit of a grandma's boy too.
Oh, and so just like you said, we continue to eat the foods that we know as we go into adulthood. And so is that how you continued? And I know at one time in your videos that you share on your website, you got up to probably 400, close to 400 pounds.
Yes, actually, at my very heaviest, I was 410 pounds.
Okay.
But it wasn't recorded because
Okay.
I of course stepped on a scale,
Right.
but I wasn't in pictures. I avoided those things, intentionally.
Right.
But yes, so 390 pounds is really where I started recording my journey.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got up there, and I'm no stranger, honestly, to yo-yo dieting, going up and down. I had lost in high school. I remember losing 80 pounds. I went from 310 pounds in the 10th grade to 230 pounds by my senior year. And I was
Okay.
playing football, so I was in good shape, but and I blew back up after high school. So these things, consistency has been my Achilles heel.
Got you, got you. And then you shared just that one day that
Mhm.
basically started to change it all, right? Let's share a little bit about that day
Yeah.
with us.
So yeah, and it goes pretty deep, but I was just in a bad spot, right? And like many other people or many other circumstances and situations, like you really see what you got when you're forced to, right? When your back is against the wall. So, I was just not living right, just eating whole pizzas, drinking on the regular, and smoking, and then I wound up facing some legal trouble while I'm working every day. I'm still a dad,
Mhm.
and that facing the legal trouble really, it just put things in perspective.
Mm,
Just every moment that I spent. It was times I would be, riding down the road with my daughter in the back seat. I would cry.
mm.
Yeah, I just didn't know what was to come. And that was just living in limbo. And as you can imagine, that level of stress, and of
Right.
course, on top of bad eating habits, I
Mhm.
felt like I was going to die in my sleep.
Oh, wow.
That was almost something I just knew, and I deemed it a coward suicide in other interviews and things like that. It was
Mhm.
just like I didn't have the guts to do anything immediate, but this slow death is what I kind of subjected myself to.
Wow.
Um, but I had an aha moment in the midst of the storm,
Mhm.
and it was just like, a lot of people say like, well, if I was facing some possible jail time, so if I'm facing this jail time, well, when I go, I'm gonna get in shape. I'll come out, I'll be fit and trim,
Mm.
and a light bulb kind of clicked on, and it said, well, what if you don't go? Like, are you just gonna stay fat and out of shape, or so let's kind of live as if let's live as if these things wouldn't happen, or as if they would, however, whatever the case may be. But my thing was just like, let's live well now.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. And so then what was the first step of saying, "You know what? I'm gonna do this." And why plant-based, right? You could have done keto, you could have done something else, but why plant-based?
Well, it was almost by mistake. So which it basically was. I I was no stranger to fasting and some of the benefits of fasting, and just understanding that our digestive systems and our bodies need a reset.
Mhm.
So I decided to do like a 7-day smoothie fast.
Okay.
And I did that. I actually, because the money wasn't rolling in like that at the time. I was
Mm.
at legal fees, right? So um I would do a smoothie a day from Tropical Smoothie. It was about $5 or $6. And I would drink a gallon of water per day for about 7 days.
Nice.
Once I did that, I believe I lost 13 or 14 pounds. I was feeling really good.
Mm.
And so I'll never forget, I had a fillet of salmon in my freezer. And I would just, and I told myself before the fast, like I'll get to that.
Mhm.
I was just feeling too good to get to that fillet of salmon in my freezer.
Wow.
So I said, okay, I'll break this fast with just fruits and vegetables, and I'll try to do that for another week. And I only ate fruits and vegetables for another week. Sometimes the vegetables would all be sauteed. I just eat a plate of sauteed vegetables. The fruit could be a banana, apple in the morning, a smoothie bowl, things like that. And I wound up losing about 21 pounds in that 2 week period.
Wow, wow.
Uh, and I just felt too good. And I don't know if I can use profanity on here, but I had a moment where I just said, "Oh crap!" Like I'm vegan, and I laughed to myself. Technically, I haven't had any meat, any dairy, and I
Right,
didn't know any vegans, as you can
right.
imagine. Growing up in Detroit, so it became a challenge to myself to
Mhm.
see just how long I could stay vegan.
Okay,
Yep,
okay. Now
yep,
when you say let's dive into that for a second,
yeah.
when you feel good, is
Mhm.
it energy? Is it clear mind? What was that feeling that you were like, "You know what? I wanna hold on to this."
Yeah, it was all of the above. It was more energy, and I was taking walks and things like that, so that definitely played a part. But yeah, it was definitely more energy, a more clear mind. Just and with those things come more positivity, more
Right.
confidence,
Mhm.
just all kind of little subtleties, like you're speaking better, you're processing your thoughts better. It was just it becomes one of those things where it's too good to let go.
Ah,
Like, let's I think we're on to something.
wonderful. Now, did you have others around you?
Mhm.
Um, some people, whether, significant other, whatever the case may be, right? Now there's two menus or there's two things
Yeah.
that you have to accommodate for, or
Mhm.
someone is coming around the corner with
Right.
something that is just that sweet potato pie, right? And you're
Right. That's good.
but did you find it hard to sort of turn that eye to say, you know what, nope, sticking with these roasted vegetables, how was
Yeah.
that, trying to move forward in the beginning, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's one of the toughest parts for everybody. And I always say, like, as soon as you make plans to change your lifestyle,
Mhm.
here comes the free food. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, you could proclaim that tomorrow, which is usually Monday,
Okay.
I'll start eating better or I'll start doing this thing or that thing, and Monday is free pizza at the office. Every time, like it never fails. But so those things happen, and that's another storm that we have to weather. But and it always comes up. It's so much free food, and it's just a process of really building that discipline. Focusing on your goals. At the time, I was recently divorced, so I was living alone, which was perfect for me.
Mhm.
Every time I've ever, kind of embarked on this, health and wellness journey, I've always had the best success when I was alone.
Okay.
I'm the only child, by the way, so that's my comfort zone.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I did it alone, and it worked out for me. So I didn't have as much temptation. I didn't have to worry about coming home and smelling fried chicken, right? Which can happen, but yeah, that was. And I tell people all the time, we have to also create an environment that's conducive to the life that we want to live.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, if not, communicate with the wife or the husband. Say, hey, if you're gonna do this, please do it when I'm not home, or we got to work that out.
Absolutely.